how do you value the equity portion of your compensation? For a lot of people working for publicly traded companies, they're receiving their overall compensation is a mix between kind of base, bonus, and equity-based compensation, and that typically shows up now in RSUs. And when you're looking at kind of how do I value that equity component, a lot depends upon, well, what's the policy of the company around renewing those RSU grants? And if they're going ahead and renewing them on an annual basis, then the company is considering that part of your overall compensation. Then it comes down to, well, then what's the value of that RSU grant in a given year? And so as an example, if you're receiving 10,000 RSUs and the stock price is at 15, then that's $150,000 worth of compensation, albeit it's going to get paid out over, let's say, a 4-year period. And you don't really know that you're going to get all that 150,000, or it may be a lot more. It could be a lot less, depending upon what happens with the price of the stock. So that's one component of determining how much of your compensation is tied to equity. The other aspect is, well, what's the company's policy when there's changes in the price of the stock? So let's say, for the sake of conversation, that it was going to be around a target of 100,000 as equity compensation. Then, well, what happens if the price of the stock were to go down by 50%? Do they double the number of shares in your RSU grant so that that's keeping it around that 100,000? Or do they keep it around the same number of restricted stock units, in which case your equity portion of your compensation has just been cut in half? And I assure you that if the price of the stock were to go way up, then you will receive less units simply because the value of each of those units has suddenly increased quite a ways. So when you're trying to understand how to value your equity compensation, it's around, well, what are the policies and actions that the company has been in through time? And does that reflect show up in terms of the number of shares that you're being granted, through in each year, such that you're able to see your overall equity compensation rising through time? Or is it staying stagnant, or is it even declining if the price of the stock were to go down?